I'm Brittany Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring, and you have landed in a bonus episode. I bring these out every Wednesday, just in case you didn't know, main show is on Monday. I've got producer Xander in the room again, taking over the pod once again, and we're just going to run through some questions that have come through on my Big Business Instagram account. If you're not following me on there, do it.
Yeah, I agree. If you're not following me, like, what are you doing? Xander Cross with a double R because someone took my name.
Go follow Xander. You heard it here first. All right, what questions have we got in my DMs?
All right, I love this one. This question is from Katie. Hey, Brittany, I hope your Monday was fab. I'm making my way through your podcast. Not sure if you've covered this yet, but I just thought I'd ask. I would love to know, as a business owner, what is the best way for an employee to approach a pay rise? My bosses are amazing and they treat us so well. We all love working there, so I feel rude asking for a pay rise, but with the cost of my life, it is needed and I'm dreading it. Much love.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for sending this through. And my first thought to that is don't be scared to ask for a pay rise. Now, I'm no professional when it comes to this. I will absolutely give you my advice, but I also did see something pop up on Instagram. Victoria Devine from She's on the Money, I believe she has done a lot of content surrounding this, like asking for pay rises in a more probably financially literate kind of way. So feel free to check out her content as well, because I know she's spoken about this a lot. But I can obviously give you my thoughts and answers too. My first thought is don't be too scared. It is one of those tough and awkward things. I think it is always awkward to talk about money. And I think especially females struggle to talk about money. Like, I guess the fact that women didn't work not that long ago. Why are you nodding your head like that, Xander?
No, it is an interesting thing to think about because employees have every right to ask for a pay rise if they feel like it. If they feel like they've put in the work, if they feel like they've reached a point in their career where they think it's time for that pay rise, they are entitled to that.
100%.
Asking for a pay rise for absolutely no reason and anything behind it, wouldn't recommend it. But things like cost of living and things like inflation, those things do matter.
Oh, 100%.
And employers should reflect that in how they're paying you when those things happen. But on top of that, if you're doing such amazing work within your company, bring them that information. Say, this is X, Y, and Z why I think I deserve this pay rise.
Yep.
And none of us should be scared.
Like I always say, Katie, you've got to have a tough conversation to have an easy life. I always say hard conversations, easy life, easy conversations, hard life. I always say that, and I'm talking to business owners, but you can apply that same saying to your life. If you avoid having this hard conversation by, not asking your bosses for a pay rise, then your life is going to become a little more difficult because you need that extra money. So my first piece of advice is don't be scared to have the conversation. My second piece of advice is write everything down. Before you're going to go and ask your boss to have a meeting, write everything down. Write all the details of your employment. I obviously don't know what job you're doing, but write down all the details of your employment. How long have you been working there? What have been some of your greatest achievements there? Where do you see yourself going in the future? Especially if you're wanting to stay within this company, you could maybe write down some of your future ideas for the company. Do you see yourself progressing into a different area of the business or growing further in the role that you're in or stepping into more of a management role? Like, I obviously don't know all the info, so I can't help you exactly there, but write everything down, write all of your achievements down, write the successes that you've brought the company, little or small. It doesn't matter how big or small they are. I think just write them all down and come up with a plan and go to your boss and say, I'd love to have a meeting with you. And I know, I can only imagine how awkward it would feel for employees.
But say that though.
Yeah.
Like, you can say to your employer, this is an awkward conversation, man, I'm a bit nervous, but I just want to be upfront with you.
And you've said in your message as well that your bosses are awesome people and you love working there. So I'm sure they are open to having these conversations with you, and you can approach it on a human level, which is how I like to approach running my business, and speak to them on that human level. Just go, hey, I've put together some stuff. I'm going to run you through it. And this is really awkward for me to say. I know it feels uncomfortable, but I would like to request a pay rise. And here are all the reasons why I think you should give me one.
Don't just put in like the things you've achieved. put in the value that you can continue to add, because
Yes.
that's a big motivation for people to continue investing in you.
Absolutely. Give it all to them. Give them all the information, any goals that you have, why you think this would be great. You can tell them, like, this is going to benefit my life, like I'm falling behind on paying my bills or whatever it may be, but then also how it's going to benefit you in your role. It's going to make you feel more motivated. It's going to push you to go further and achieve more. Spill it all out to them and just put it on the table and see what they can come back with. You will have to understand that a business can't really give you a pay rise on the spot. And there might be a bit of, in the conversation, like, fantastic, this is great, like, leave it with us. This is something that then on their end, you know, they're going to have to go away and kind of look at, can we do this? Is it feasible? What can the pay rise be? Even in your meeting with them, let them know what you want to be paid. What is it? Is it, you know, how much of an increase is the pay? They will most likely want to go away and discuss it. Hell, they might even be like, yep, done. Like, I can't speak on behalf of your
Also,
bosses.
always shoot a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Just
go
say if you want a 2.5K pay rise, just say 5. And then you might get the 2.5K.
Xander, I'm going to have Fate employees lining up out the door after putting this episode
Oh,
out.
no, I didn't say that.
But yeah, like, put the offer on the table, let them think about it if they need to, and just approach it in the most human, kind way possible. It's always awkward for everyone. But what's the worst that's going to happen? The worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to say, no, like, we don't have the finances to do this, or we don't want to do this at this point. The really tricky thing from a business standpoint, more so from, I guess, from my perspective, is if you've got one employee asking for a pay rise, depending on what their role is, like the way our company's structured is everyone's pay rates are based off everyone else's, okay? So the people over here are on this, and then if they're up there, they're on that, and if they're here, they're on that. So then also by one person asking for a pay rise, you may then have to restructure the way that you're paying everyone else.
There is that difficult balance, because I've worked in places where they've openly said that everyone who is in this role is paid the same.
Yes.
But then also, how do you manage when other employees in that same role put in different amounts of effort, or they're adding different amounts of value?
That's when it can get really tricky.
Also, there's a modern day trend now where people are encouraging each other to have very open and transparent conversations about pay, because there have been that
There's times where
hidden
people are getting
agendas,
paid completely different but doing the exact same role.
So it's really tough.
Yeah, it is. And I know a lot of workplaces have had rules where employees are not allowed to discuss pay. Like, I know people have signed contracts, but that's illegal. Companies can't tell you can't discuss your pay with your co-workers, because things like that have happened where, let's say, 5 people are doing the same job, exactly the same job every single day, but one of them's getting paid 20 grand a year more.
Yeah, it's not an NDA.
Sometimes if someone's asking for a pay rise, you then will have to look at everyone else in the company or people around you. Because as for me, like, we want it to be as fair as possible. Some people don't care for it to be fair, but for us, like, the way everyone's paid, it's kind of all balances out and everyone's getting paid fairly in their kind of area. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If someone was to come to me and say, I want a pay rise, I'm all right, cool, leave it with me, let me go and look, because then I'm going to go look at everyone else's pay, you know, and make sure it's fair across the board and not just, sure, you can have it, because then I'll have to think of everyone else as well. So it's something else to keep in mind. But yeah, I guess that's my advice. And for all of you business owners out there, I've only ever had one person ask me for a pay rise in the history of Fate, and it was in the very early days of Fate. And this person asked me via text.
Ew.
Yeah, that person doesn't work with me anymore. That's the only time I have ever had someone ask me for a pay rise. And the reason for that is it's my responsibility as a business owner to beat them to it. I beat my staff to the pay rise. They don't ever have to ask me, because I will put their pay up without them even having to ask me. And that's, Katie, I would hope that your boss, you know, you say they're amazing and you love working there. I hope that they're recognizing that in their day-to-day life and rewarding you for that. I'm not saying that they need to be putting up your pay every 3 months or whatever, but I do think that's the responsibility of the business owner, is to be able to see their staff working so hard and doing an amazing job and rewarding them for that, whether it's bonuses or an extra day off, but you pay them.
Not pizza lunches.
Hey, we love a pizza lunch at Fate, but
Yeah,
that's
no.
not all they get. That's every now and then a little fun treat. But, it's on the business owner's side to be ahead of that, because staff do feel awkward about asking for pay rises. So that's my job to recognise this person is due for a pay rise. And then when we're having their review, or if I just pull them aside randomly and say, hey, we have looked at everything that you have been doing. I'm giving you a pay rise. That's what we do at Fate. And that's why I've only ever had one person ask me for a pay rise. And that was years and years and years ago, because I fucking beat them to it. Katie, thank you so much for sending this through. We were going to answer lots of questions in this episode, but I feel like this has taken up the whole bonus episode. But Katie, absolutely go for it. Back yourself, write everything down, be confident. And you've said that your bosses are awesome. So I think they're only going to be, hopefully, willing to meet you where you are and give you that pay rise. And by the way, let us know how you go. Send us a follow-up DM and let me know. And then I can announce to everyone if you got the pay rise.
Also, anyone, tell us your methods as well. Like, I'd love to hear how other people approach these types of conversations.
For sure. And it can be awkward, but trust me, I say it all the time. Hard conversation, easy life.